Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Most welcome to this video. This video is about the grammar skill, the past simple, al-fi'l al-madi al-basit. You can find this skill in Book 1, Listening and Speaking, in Unit 1, page 16. Okay, let's start. On page 16, you can see that we have regular verbs, الأفعال المنتظمة or الأفعال العادية, and we have the irregular verbs, الأفعال الشاذة. In this video, inshallah, I will explain you both. Regular verbs. To form the simple past, we just add ed to the base form of the verb. Here you can see some base forms of some example verbs, like call, يتصل, and ask, يسأل, and want, يريد. If we want to make the past simple from these verbs, we just simply add ed. So, call becomes called, and ask, asked, and want, wanted. Let's have a look to an example. I often call my father. I called my father yesterday. قد اتصلت بأبي بأمس. I called my father yesterday. Okay. Sometimes we have in the base verb already an E at the end. In that case, we only add a D. Have a look to these examples. Like, care, يعتني, and close, يغلق. If we want to make the past simple from these verbs, we just simply add a D, because the E is already there. So, it becomes liked, or cared, or closed. Let's have a look to an example. I like playing football. I liked swimming last year. كنت أحب السباحة في العام الماضي. Okay, sometimes some verbs end in Y. In that case, we need to drop the Y and add IED. Let's have a look. Study, which means يدرس. Copy, ينسخ. And try, يجرب or يحاول. So, when we want to make the past tense of study, then we need to drop the Y and add IED to the verb. So it becomes studied, or copied, or tried. For example, I study every day. And in the past, I studied yesterday. Okay, let's start now with the irregular verbs. الأفعال الشاذة. The first thing that we will do is we will talk about be. Be we use in Arabic with جملة اسمية. It has two forms in the past, was and were. Okay, for example, With the pronouns ضمائر I and he, she, it, and you, we, they, we get the following. In the present tense, we use am. For example, I am Ahmed, or I am tired, or she is a student. Okay, that is the present, but in the past, it is slightly different. In the past, we use for am and is was, and are becomes were. Was here in Arabic we say sometimes kana, or kanat, or kanu, from the verb kana. For example, I am a student, أنا طالب. I was a student last year. كنت طالبا في العام الماضي. There are also other irregular verbs. Here are some examples. For example, like say, يقول, or make, يصنع, and go, يذهب, and have, يملك, or عنده, and some other examples there. For example, I go home at 2 o'clock. This go is an irregular verb, so we cannot add ed to it. So we say, I went home at 3 o'clock yesterday. I went home at 3 o'clock yesterday. Another example. I always do my homework. In the past, we would say, I did my homework last week. I have a Toyota Yaris. لدي Toyota Yaris. I had a Hyundai Accent last year. Now we need to discuss the negative statements. Negative statements means here a nafi. So for example, we say, I call my mother. In the past, we say is a regular verb, call, so we add ed. So we say, I called my mother yesterday. Now, how do we say this in a negative form? We say, I didn't call my mother yesterday. So what we do is we use didn't plus the base form of the verb. So do not write ed here. No, we use the base form. I didn't call my mother yesterday. ما اتصلت بأمي بأمس. Okay, now it's your turn. I closed my book. Can you make this sentence negative? You can pause the video if you want, if you need to think for a few seconds. I'm now going to give you the answer. So it's I and my book. So what we do, we use didn't plus the base form of the verb, which means I didn't close my book without the D, because it's the base form of the verb. الفعل المجرد. I didn't close my book. Okay, now I would like you to practice. Okay, you can find this exercise on page 17 of your book. I will explain you inshallah how to do it. But before you're going to do it, I want to remind you that we have the irregular verbs and the regular verbs. So you need to be aware the verb that you're going to use, is it regular or irregular? So let's go back to the exercise on page 17. From come is irregular. So we say, sure, I came to New York a few months ago from Chicago. The second one is I went to Chicago School of Design. So as you can see, these are all irregular verbs. Now, I would like you to pause this video, and you can open your book as well if you want to revise the verbs if they're regular or irregular. And then I would like you now to answer question 3 to 8. Please pause the video. Are you ready? I'm now going to give you the answers. Are you ready? As you can see, graduate is a regular verb, but it already has an E in the base form. In that case, we only add a D to the verb to make it past. Number 8 is also a regular verb without an E at the end. So we say, I wanted to use my design and computer skills. Thank you for watching this video.